Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Omnic Lab. We're a podcast that helps you focus on the strategy inside of the game of Overwatch. We learn through trial and error in the lab, even if things get a little crazy and blow up sometimes. We help you brew some team compositions, interpret the patch notes with the utmost of sincerity, help you play a little bit better, and hopefully equip you, the listeners, with all the information and instruments that you would need to have that strategic edge. I'm Rob May, your main host, and joining me, as always, is the one, the only Team Instinct, Andres Gomez. What's up?
That's right, Team Instinct represent. What's up, Rob? Damn, you had that down today. I am proud of you.
I am on it today, man. I have been dying to talk about stuff this week, and I've been dying so much to talk about Overwatch this week, I have not even played it.
Oh, I feel you there. I have been doing so much stuff this week. I have barely had touch to play the PTR and had like a little glimpse at all these crazy changes that are happening that we're gonna talk about in today's episode. I'm glad we're back, and I'll probably be playing Overwatch till the end of the week.
Yes, I'm really thankful because I think right after the show, we have a really cool treat for you guys. We're going to be interviewed with Ro from Realm Maintenance. So if you like cool podcasts about podcasts and you want to look up more stuff in the Blizzard universe, you should go head over to Realm Maintenance here pretty soon, and we'll have a show where we get interviewed by Ro himself, who is the main host of that podcast.
That's right.
He's a good friend of the show.
We're getting interviews now, so if you want to just watch us ascend into stardom, make sure to stay tuned into that.
Yes, ascent into stardom. I like that. So today we're going to be talking about the new hero Ana Amari from the top before we talk about the patch notes, because the patch notes are huge, and Ana's news dropping is huge, that we had to put Lucio on the back seat 2 weeks in a row. So we will get to Lucio, I promise.
I'm
we'll get
so
there,
sorry, Lucio. It's not that you're not important, man. Like, we really want to talk about you, but, Ana just came stumping in, and there's so many changes, especially to
She is
my
one
favorite
angry
character.
grandma.
Yeah, my favorite character, McCree, is getting a ton of changes, so we'll get to you, Lucio. Don't worry. Your time will come.
I feel like if you have to piss off one member of Overwatch, it's like Tracer and Lucio can probably handle it the best.
Yeah. He's probably like, that's fine, man. I'm just gonna go play some hockey, listen to some tunes over here. Just call me when you need me.
I'm just glad that it wasn't Winston that we've been pushing off for 2 weeks, because those of you who join our Discord know, Winston is our banhammer bot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's not very happy right now. He likes to mute people for no reason.
He keeps muting everyone for just saying hello. People will come into our Discord and be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Mute it.
Shut up! You didn't bring a banana.
Or Winston has no temper. He's always red. We need
So
to feed him some peanut butter.
Join the Discord.com or discord.me/OmnicLab this week. Be sure to bring some peanut butter to calm his anger. All right. From the top of the show, just reasonings why we've been busy. I think this is something that we can spend maybe 1-2 minutes on, just to let you guys know. Andres, I'm going to spin it back to you because you had a bananas weekend, right?
Yeah, my power went out for the whole day Friday. We were trying to figure out why. It was something to do with like our local power plan or something like that. But basically I was out of power. Couldn't play or edit any of my audio stuff. And then I had my brother's birthday, which was nice. We got to go outside of the city to this place called Kennesaw Mountain. And it just coincided that, Pokemon is out, and I've been playing it with my girlfriend and stuff. And this place is like Bulbasaur Mecca. Like, literally, I think this is where Bulbasaurs are born, and they distribute from here to the rest of the world. Because it was like Pidgeys, dude. I was just finding them everywhere.
Yeah, we have probably more Pidgeys and Psyducks and Eevees than anything I've caught so far. I think those are the one things I've caught the most.
Eevees are good, though. Those are good.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm really hyped about. But I've got 2 above 1,000 Golducks, which are pretty boss.
Those are really good too. It's nice.
Yeah, they even can learn. Some of them have Ice Beam, and others of them just use only Psychic attacks, so you can really rip through gyms pretty well with them. So that aside, make sure you join Team Mystic, because joining Team Instinct will anger Zapdos to knock your power out.
This will probably be the only time that I'll tell you not to listen to Rob, but don't listen to Rob.
Well, I found out today that Ro finally hit level 5, and he's gonna be on Team Mystic as well. He just tweeted it out, so
You got to him
you're gonna
first.
get it.
I couldn't
You're gonna
convince
get
him.
it. All right, so for my week, oh my gosh, we've gotten so much news dropping this last weekend with Overwatch that I've been frantically trying to inform our listeners and set up our Discord and interact with people there. We actually had a lot of stuff going on with our Patreon, which we'll get to later. But we finally got our first payout, so it was really cool trying to like distribute rewards. I'm also trying to get shirts to those people that are top level patrons for this podcast and my other podcast that also got a lot of news in Hearthstone this week. Their t-shirts before I leave the country, and it's just been a huge mess. And then like I've also been getting scheduling conflicts with my predecessor who I'm replacing in Japan, and it's a 13-hour time change with Andres and I will be very familiar with here in the next couple weeks. So we're working through those adjustments, and then it was my birthday on Sunday, and so I had like a surprise bash on Saturday, and then I was also able to go out to dinner with my immediate family on Sunday. So I've had a packed weekend and a week trying to get ready to pay for stuff. And then we have even more good news where I'm getting a new laptop. I told this to Andres for traveling. It's a really disgustingly good gaming PC on Amazon Prime Day. I basically got between $700 to $900 discounted off of this computer and what it's worth. So we're really excited to move forward with the podcast that way. And so we're also going to skip what we're testing this week because of that. So yeah, and the reason for replacing the laptop was because we had a lot of internet issues on my end after we finished recording last week and during the recording last week. If you guys watched the video, you would very well see that. So let's move right into news, patch notes, and the one and only Grandma of the Week, Ana Amari.
The most badass grandma in the whole world.
All right, so let's jump into what Ana's skills are. We'll give you a little bit taste of the lore and a couple more links for you to go check out if you want to go watch some videos of Ana, some lore videos of Ana. And at the bottom of the show, we'll give you a link to the new comic that just released today. So, Andres, why don't you give us a breakdown, starting with Ana's ultimate all the way through her skills and kind of what she does.
Sounds good. Ana is the new support class hero added to Overwatch. Well, she is not out, but you can go on to the PTR and play it for yourself, which I'm sure if you're listening to this episode, you have probably already done so because everyone has. She is quite fun to play and definitely is going to introduce a lot of new opportunities into this game. Let's start with our ultimate, Nano Boost. It increases the movement speed, it increases the damage, and decreases the damage taken to an ally that you put into it. This kind of reminds me of the StarCraft Steam Pack, where your units just would inject it into themselves and they would run super fast, hit super hard, and like kind of take a little bit more damage. And
yeah, like the stim packs.
Yeah, it's a super powerful ability, especially if you put it into things like a Reinhardt or a Roadhog that suddenly become this huge, massive balls of death coming at you super fast, swinging the hammer. Quite powerful ability, especially if used at the right time and if used on the right person. It's kind of like the Genji ultimate though, where it's not kind of like an auto win button like McCree or sometimes Hanzo or Soldier 76 ultimate can be. This one you have to put it on somebody, and that somebody has actually to go out there and do something, right? He still has to get those kills or earn those kills.
Right.
Aside from that, we got Biotic Grenade, a really cool AoE ability which heals.
This is what you pick Ana for sure.
Yes, this is a very powerful ability. It heals all of your allies in the area where it falls, as well as it increases the healing done to them, and it stops all healing effects on enemies that are hit by the grenade. And you can see the enemies that have the effect on because they turn kind of purple, almost if they're like poisoned.
Kind of like a pseudo version of Orb of Harmony, Orb of Discord in an area, and it just bursts.
Yeah, it's very noticeable though. You can definitely visually see.
It's a very loud soundbite too.
Yeah. Aside from that, a very cool ability, which I'm a very big fan of, is not what you pick her for, but it definitely has a lot of uses. The Sleep Dart is her shift ability. It shoots a tranquilizer dart that makes any target fall asleep for 6 seconds. Any damage will interrupt this effect, so you basically want to use this on targets that you're not going to focus immediately, or targets that you're trying to get away with. Is basically her attempt at a getaway mechanic. It's not a very reliable one, and it relies basically on your accuracy with it, but it can also be really, really powerful to just take an opponent that is coming into the fight out of the game before he even gets there, or take out a flanker and call out your team so they can come gank it. You know, being able to make a Genji or a Tracer fall asleep if you can hit him, and then just wait for your opponent or your team to be on top of them to finish them off, can be quite powerful. And then her main
Fire.
weapon, or her main fire, is also her main kind of playstyle. It has two functions. Basically, you can shoot your enemies to basically poison them. It does a little bit of a damage, a chunk of damage, and then some more damage over time to them. It's a really cool mechanic. No other hero damages like
Yeah,
this.
it's very unique.
Very unique, yeah. So you do just a little bit of damage up front and then some damage over time afterwards. So there's some chance that opponents can get healed, but it also kind of reveals them. You get like the purple hue around them.
I think the purple hue that you get around them is more or less the spell effect, like to show that the duration is ticking down. But this isn't your annual or your average like warlock corruption from World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
This is like over the course of a second or maybe a second and a half.
Yeah, it's quite
tops.
fast.
It's really fast.
And then more importantly though, you can shoot your allies. Only hero that can actually shoot your allies, which some people probably love. And instead of doing damage to them, it heals them for some damage over time, a good chunk over time. Kind of the same, right? It heals like some
effect.
damage up front and then a little bit over time. So
and
really,
it's
really
like
powerful.
Burst heals too.
Yeah, pretty much. Really powerful mechanic, especially if you have really good accuracy. Not as good if you cannot aim those shots. And then also you can zoom in and zoom out with your left click, kind of like you do with Widowmaker.
Yep, and I don't know if this is confirmed yet. I haven't checked anything to do with this, but this one statement about like being scoped in, some people feel like it heals and deals slightly more damage than it does when you're not scoped, but I have no idea and no way to confirm that. Andres, have you played on the PTR and noticed anything on that?
I have played in the PTR a little bit, but I have not noticed like a difference between scoped and unscoped.
Okay.
I think it does have a difference when you nail headshots though.
Okay, it might. I've seen, like, instead of playing on the PTR, I opted for watching professionals play. Like, I watched a 16, 17-minute thing where Seagull played Zenyatta and Ana for full rounds to see, like, how they felt at, like, more pro hands, to see how he was playing them. And I didn't really notice any difference in headshots because you don't get the headshot like hit marker at all for anything. I don't even think they show you a hit marker.
I think you might be right. We have here Saikmoto in the chat saying that there's no critical damage, and he's also confirming that the scope or her weapon is hit scan. So all of the McCree,
I did know that.
All of the McCree mains are and Widowmaker mains are like super happy about Ana. It's probably like the support that they're gonna love playing. I personally are gonna love playing Ana.
I think they're gonna also like to watch people play Zenyatta coming up here too, because we'll get to him later. I'm gonna try and hold my tongue. I'm so hyped for freaking
yeah, there's a lot of changes. But what are your thoughts on Ana in general, just as a hero? What do you think of her?
I think my opinion of her is what I said earlier in our Discord is basically that Ana is going to be a niche pick similar to playing defense and picking a Symmetra. Only this is going to swing the opposite way, where if you need an offensive pusher similar to like a Lucio's sound barrier, or like an offensive hero to help you push into a zone, Ana is your girl to do that. So I feel like those of you who are picking something for more of a niche pick, it's really good. It's also something that I've seen as it seemed to be really, really helpful for tanks, like a lot, to just feel better in general. Like playing Reinhardt just feels better. Playing Diva feels better. Playing Roadhog and having a self-heal. Like you throw that little flash down when Roadhog's about to die and he self-heals and he just full heals with his own self thing is just insane. And then that sleeper dart is disruption. So I would have to say that you would want to put her in the support category where you want low sustained damage from medium to backline. And then you also want a little bit more help to your main support in offensive pushing power with a lot of disruption. I think that's my synopsis of Ana.
Yeah, she seems like a healer that it's not only very skill reliant, so it's not like Lucio or Mercy, where even if your aim is not that good, you can still get away with, doing a lot for your team. With her, I feel if your aim is not on point, and especially if you're missing your abilities or not using them at the right point, because her dart and the grenade are both, kind of hard to land. The grenade doesn't have like a very big range, so you kind of have to be up front. And the dart is kind of like May's attack, right? It takes a second to fire, and then it takes some travel time. So they're both abilities that require some skill to hit, and also some timing as well. So definitely, I feel like it's a hero that the better you are as a player, the more you're gonna bring to the table. I don't see her replacing Lucio or Mercy outright, especially in, regular competitive games. But as you go up the ladder and as you get into like the higher tier of players, I think you're gonna start seeing a lot of Ana, especially for certain strategies, right? And
Right.
talking about Zenyatta and how much he's been buffed, Ana, for example, can serve as a tool to counter one of the most powerful healing ults, Zenyatta's ult. You can just throw the grenade on top of whatever allies are being healed, and suddenly that ult does nothing to them, right? Um, or even if you, for example, your Zarya does her graviton, and then there's a Zenyatta or there's something that can heal them a lot, or even like Roadhog is there trying to heal himself. Just throwing the grenade on them is pretty much like a death sentence on top of that graviton.
Yeah, you basically effectively have the abilities that allow you with the I call it the flask because it sounds like a little flask from
It
World of
does.
Warcraft, like Crazed Alchemist. So I have to say that it's the flask, but by the flask I mean the biotic grenade and the sleep dart are some of the most powerful disruption techniques in the game because one is in essence a ranged stun interruption for any ability that is like overtime ultimate that can be interrupted. And then biotic grenade is basically shuts down all healing in an area as well as provides you utility in an area to get a quick burst heal. And then if somebody's really low that's a tank, you can also shoot them for even double what your normal heals are going to be. So I really like Ana that way. There's a couple more tweaks on the things that we want to cover with Ana real quick before we move on to her lore. She does have 200 health, which means no shields, no armor. Pretty traditional, like 200 HP hero. She has 6 rounds in each clip. So she doesn't have a whole lot of rounds that she can fire before she has to reload. The main fire without shooting the like within the scope counts as a projectile. So like if you can
it has
reflect
travel
it.
time.
Yeah, it has a little bit of travel time. It's really fast, but it does have a little bit of travel time. And then the hit scan is while you're scoped, like Andres said. Now, the scope has that little triangle that people were talking about when they're trying to figure out who the new hero was. In that triangle, while scoped, if you fire at an ally, anything inside of that triangle gets the heal, but the one closest to the crosshairs, if you have multiple people in the triangle, will receive the heal first. If that makes sense.
Makes
so
sense.
they'll take the shot. So you actually have a bigger range of area that you can shoot allies if you want to shoot for the heal.
That makes sense. That make it a little easier to heal your allies, because especially in the heat of battle, it can be hard to be precise with everybody moving erratically, trying to avoid fire.
Yeah, and then the other two things that people have been complaining about Ana, at least in our Discord, have been twofold. It has to do with her mobility in that it's arguably the worse or the same as Zenyatta. And she doesn't have any scaling to do what snipers do, which is in essence getting up into places that like Widow can grapple into, or climb walls like Hanzo or Genji to get to those higher up vantage points. Even Junkrat has more mobility than she does in order to like hop between location to location.
Let's talk
So I feel
about
like
her mobility for a second, because I think
okay,
that is very, very intentional from Blizzard's part to have given her
right,
no ability to be able to get an advantage point. They did give her a sniper rifle, but they gave her no ability, no flanking ability, basically, unlike Widowmaker or Genji or Hanzo, like you said.
correct.
And I think it makes sense because they want to force you as Ana to have to be with somebody. They don't want you to be the guy that goes up to a vantage point and can snipe heals from up top and maybe like the dart and stuff. No, I think they want you to be very aware of your positioning and your team's positioning, and basically the only way you're gonna be able to get to really unfair spots for Ana is gonna be with the help of your team. You're gonna need somebody that, one, takes you to inside of the flanking spot, like a Reinhardt or something that can cover you, or even a Mei that can block you, and then use them to get into those spots. I'm thinking Mei is gonna be quite good with Ana because it will allow her to get into a lot of vantage points just using her wall
For
to
sure.
kind of like lift her up. So that might be interesting to use with her. But basically, I think it's an intentional, design from Blizzard to not allow you to be able
Of
to
course. I
flank on
mean,
your
you
own.
look at all of the other supports, right? Zenyatta, Lucio, Mercy, and Symmetra. None of which do well without being paired with somebody else aside from Symmetra, who needs to be paired with her turrets in that location for the sentry room. So they are always creating these scenarios where supports are supposed to be reliant on other teammates in order for their maximum effectiveness. That's the whole design around anybody that does any sort of healing in the game. If you're healing, you're not doing your job unless you're around other people. And if you're a healer, you should innately have less damage and also less ability to move mobility wise. So what they've effectively done with Ana is limit her mobility all the way down, give her lots of really cool disruption tools, give her lots of really cool like offensive and defensive damaging
Just
power.
utility in
So
general,
that's the
yeah.
trade-off. Yeah. So the utility plus the damage is why the mobility is here. Same thing with Zenyatta, only Zenyatta is mobility way down here and has a little bit of healing with a lot of damage. And then you have on the other side of the plane, you have Lucio and Mercy who have tons of mobility, tons of healing, and very low damage. And that's the design, right? You
Yeah.
have to have some sort of trade-off, or there's no reason to play, Overwatch. They have to balance around something.
Also take into account that her rifle is a sniper rifle, so it allows her to actually heal characters that Mercy and Lucy otherwise would not be able to heal unless they put their lives in a lot of danger, right? Like if you have your Pharah or your Genji or even your Tracer flanking them from really far behind. And as Lucio, you really cannot just like ride up until there and be like, hey, let me heal you over here real quick in the middle of the enemies. Whereas Mercy, even if you can fly over there, you have a very big chance of getting sniped or just killed on your way over there. With Ana, you're able to just snipe your Genji or snipe your Pharah as she's like going on her way to kill that Bastion or so on. So it gives you a lot of possibilities of being able to help your team from a great range, especially if you're good at the aims things. And the only other thing that people are saying over here is that in the trailer they showed her on a really far vantage point. It's like how did she even get up there with no abilities? I think Jeff Kaplan answered this saying that when they were filming, there was an enemy Junkrat that exploded her mine that blew her up there, and then they only used the part to use to do that. So if that
Our
helps
overlord
explain it,
Jeff Kaplan.
if that lets you sleep at night.
Oh man, those people! I'll tell you what. I bet you honestly, originally they probably gave Ana some form of wall climb as a passive, and ended up being way too powerful, and probably had to like drop it down because that just seems absolutely bonkers to me. Like, why would she need mobility? Like if she's effectively a disruption version of Zenyatta, there's no reason for her. And I think that's partially their design wise for Lucio and Mercy in order to be such a high pick rate. I think that if you want to balance your game, you just make 2 characters really good at healing and you make the rest of them kind of really not. And then, you know, you have people picking one character over another, sure. But I think right now they're putting the game in a place where you can legitimately not pick Mercy or not pick Lucio as a main healer and run 2 supports, I think, with Ana and Zenyatta, and you might very well be able to heal your whole team in a sustained fight if you're playing them properly. I think that's what they're trying to do, is give you more options, which is very cool. And Ana is an amazing, cool character kit for us to test out.
For sure.
Do we know if everything we're saying is right? No, we don't know if everything we're saying is right. We're just saying this is immediately what a lot of the community is saying, and this is what her kit does. And so a lot of times you can kind of orient yourself to play styles like that. I know that Seagull said something really unique, that Ana, although she has a sniper rifle, the scope is used very rarely. You're most of the time in a situation on a payload on offense with Ana where you need to be more of a mid-range to mid-long range brawler and not using your scope a whole lot. Utilizing your shift ability and your E ability, or your biotic grenade and your sleeper dart are going to be where you mostly have your function. So it's pretty freaking cool though. Like being able to shoot your allies and friendly fire actually be a good thing is pretty neat.
I think she's gonna have a really high learning curve, and I'm just really glad that they're introducing another support that is so different from all the other ones, like the playstyle of it. And the kit that she brings definitely offers a completely different way of approaching team fights, and definitely opens just a lot of strategic advantages. Her ultimate can be quite insane, especially if you have a really high skill player in your team. Being able to get that ultimate and then be like, all right, I'm ready, man. You're ready to go Rambo on these guys.
I've seen it pretty nuts on divas. Like with the new diva changes that we're going to read here pretty soon, it makes diva a monster.
Yeah, any character with a really high mobility, like Genji, while he has his sword, can be really scary.
One-shot tanks,
yeah,
pretty much. Oh, geez. Okay, let's get into our lore real quick, because this is arguably much shorter, and then we can spend the remainder of the show on the patch notes for you guys, along with some emails, and then we'll cover Patreon as well. So the lore. I'll run through this one since Andres had the luxury of going through the abilities. So, the lore. Farah, as we stated earlier, is a grandma. She's 60 years old.
I mean Anna.
And Anna, sorry. What did I say? Farah?
Yeah.
Yeah. She is Farah's mother, 60 years old, and has ties with Gabriel Reyes and Jack Morrison, a.k.a. Reaper and Soldier 76. She is also in the original squad with them, alongside of Mercy, Torbjorn, and I think Winston.
Original founder. No, I don't think it was Winston. I think it was Reinhardt.
No, Reinhardt, that's it. And then she was blinded in her right eye, which I guess is revealed to have in the comic book some sort of enhancement that she can see 6 times better or further than a regular human can. And then her scope allows even like 60 times enhancement there.
Yeah, but apparently she doesn't even need the scope, but she sometimes uses it just because.
Right, so that explains away why you can shoot people with a sniper rifle without scoping in pretty well and not have to switch to an assault rifle like Widowmaker. And she was actually blinded in that eye after this mission with Widowmaker, without spoiling it too much, that now she actually was projected as dead because she was left behind by her squad and blinded. So she has a new patch, and she goes by I guess an alias that might have been Sombra. We don't know yet. That's what some people are saying. Other people like me don't think that she's Sombra at all, that Sombra is just completely something else, and they mixed up the photos with a skin that they gave for Ana. She is now a single eye sniper, and she has a sniper protector role in Overwatch, but now she is listed as a bounty hunter. So pretty cool.
Very badass grandma.
Yeah, she's got a really cool 2 legendary skins right now that are themed similar to Plague Doctor and or like I guess a steampunk Plague Doctor and and a Borderlands character, which is
Yeah,
pretty
it's
freaking
kind of like
cool.
Star Warsy a little bit. I like it. It looks
Yeah.
badass.
And then she has two more where it was basically her in the past when she was alongside of Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes. So two of those. And then her epic skins, the two epic skins are probably the best two. One of them is kind of like a callback to being Mercy. So it's kind of like a Mercy skinned version of Ana, which is pretty neat. And then the other one is that really cool, like, face mask with the triangle on it that you saw in all of the Sombra stuff that looks like a Destiny character, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
We put some links to her hero page on Overwatch, along with what Kotaku wrote up on their Twitter. They made a link to her and some of her cool videos. Without further ado, let's jump into the patch notes for the PTR.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the one thing that launched most recently, or sorry, most closely to our last episode. Because we rolled it out a little late because of power outages and technical difficulties on Fridays when we record, or Thursdays when we record, that night on Friday, early Friday, Thursday, and Friday morning, they rolled out some of the changes that we were complaining about, which is the experience bugs, and for when you're attacking and or playing Overwatch and the opponents have a lever and you win the game and your experience is like 1/15 of the bar, or really, really small for winning.
Like Blizzard, what the heck? Whenever we complain, you guys can't be fixing the problem so fast because
While we're doing it,
then we look like fools complaining about these things. You guys are supposed to take at least like a month or two to fix the problem, so that way we can complain about it long enough and then look like we knew what we were talking about.
Told you it was a problem.
No, but seriously, that is awesome that they are definitely listening and they definitely saw the same problems that everyone was seeing and they're acting on it really, really fast. The PTR looks like they've addressed a lot of the complaints that we have, if not all of them. And it basically looks like a new game. Like there's so many changes that I think the meta is gonna be shaking up quite a bit.
Yeah. And this experience bug was supposedly hot fixed about 2 days ago. 4 days ago. So this would have been Saturday and Friday. They tried to hot fix this. And then they had an issue with it again over the course of the next 2 days. And they hot fixed it again 2 days ago. So keep testing it, guys, on PC especially, because this is live on PC. That means that it's not live on consoles yet. And from the looks of things, it kind of seems like Xbox is getting the updates like a day or two before the PlayStation 4 network guys are getting it. But that's just what's happened the last couple things. So if you see it go live on Xbox and it's not on PlayStation, just hang tight for about 2 days. Should be up and running. That being said, let's go into PTR. PTR now has a really cool esports Yahoo interview with Scott Mercer talking about what's coming in the patch. So we've linked that for you. But we're going to talk through the official patch notes and kind of our highlights. The first big highlight is something that is really, really cool that they're doing before they roll out some new stuff with the next season, because hero stacking is something that a lot of people have been finding issue with. And, you know, like heroes right now, if you stack them, aren't really balanced for stacking them. They basically just said in competitive mode, hero limitations, you can only have one of each kind of hero in competitive, but in quick play, you can do whatever you want. So I think that Deathblow, especially our friend over at High Noon Podcast, would really appreciate this.
Hero limits?
But yeah, the hero limits. So
yeah,
I like it.
Would.
But some of the other changes we're about to go through are really interesting because they really seem like these balance changes are towards making heroes balanced as if you could only have one of them on your team.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Overwatch also said other stuff about saying hero stacking and running multiple copies of a hero in the game and promoting hero switching is kind of a core concept to Overwatch. So I don't know if they're going to go back on that for season 2, but I feel like that's kind of like they took a few too many steps forward and didn't balance the way that they would have liked. So they're going to go with the hero limits as kind of more or less a band-aid right now. I don't think
I
that
don't
this is the
know.
future of
I don't know if
Overwatch,
it's
but
gonna
what
be
do
a
you think?
band-aid. Honestly, I think that hero limit is something that they wanted to avoid at first. I think it was very smart of them to not introduce hero limits from the get-go, because it basically allowed the community to really go ham and just experiment and like what things are good and what things are not good, and it allowed Blizzard to see from a very like omniscient perspective how all this unraveled. And they've been testing it since, alpha and then the closed beta, and now basically the game has been out for what, a full month and a half. And I think that they've been able to see how the game is getting played, and hero limits might be something that is necessary for this type of game. Because unfortunately, balancing around no hero limits might actually be a fool's errand and might actually be just an impossible feat. Think about trying to balance around the double Winston, or the six divas or six tracer overtime kind of thing. Um, Even if you're able to strike a balance when you're doing double Winstons, then that means that when you're running single Winston, for example, that might be too weak. Winston by its own might not be enough. Or if six tracer is becoming too strong and you nerf tracer, then maybe now you force everyone to play two tracers all the time to make him actually viable. So it's kind of like a tug of war in that sense, where if you fix something here gets messed up, and I don't know if it's just possible. So at least this way, they can tweak each hero so that individually it always fits, and they don't have to worry about hero stacking or people cheesing the beginning of certain maps. I think
Especially in overtime, which they have a lot of changes for, right? Like the overtime fuse is going to burn 20 is going to burn down faster after 20 seconds. They're going to respawn 2 seconds longer when overtime's initiated. So they're really trying to like make sure overtime doesn't feel oppressive for anyone,
yeah, and
regardless
I
of
think
hero limitations or not.
they also want to emphasize like thought strategy, like strategy that has been given some thought and there's like some planning behind it. But for example, right now with the no hero limits on the double point capture maps, let's say the defending team picks a very balanced composition because they don't know what the attacking team is gonna bring out, but then
Uh-huh.
the attacking team decides to bring a very cheesy composition to take out that first point really
2
fast.
Lucios and 4 Zarias or whatever that people choose in
Something like that,
overtime.
or the six diva thing, and like some of those
Hmm.
things sometimes like really work just because the defending team doesn't have enough time to really like
Go back and switch.
adapt to that
Yeah.
strategy, right? So they lose the point really fast, and then the cheese strategy doesn't work from then, but like the snowball has become, and once you take that first point, it might be easy for you to take the second one real fast. So it's just too snowbally. And I think what Blizzard is trying to do with the hero limits is bring it back into that strategic mode where both teams really have to decide what tools they're gonna use, what limited tools they're gonna use, and bring to the table, rather than just like, well, let's just abuse this part of the map, and we know that these heroes can really abuse it, so let's just pick 4 of them and like let's go. At this point, people are gonna have to be more picky about what heroes they choose and what strategy they're gonna go for.
So let's talk about what's next. They have some self-healing changes. So basically, any hero that has any function of self-healing, the self-healing that you do would now give you ultimate charge. So that's it's a good change. I think it's really neat. And overall, I feel like you're going to see ultimates charging faster for those heroes. These heroes will be Lucio, Bastion, Soldier 76, and Roadhog. So at least those are the ones of note that they put into the patch notes. So Lucio, Bastion, Soldier, their ultimates are going to charge 10% slower overall, but they're also going to have a whole nother realm that they can actually start gaining ultimate charge from.
I
And then
believe
Roadhog's ultimate is even less at 45%
I was about to say that, yeah, Roadhog is gonna be the most insane right now. Being able to reload
because
his
his is
ultimate
huge.
45% faster while with self-healing. especially because he self heals a lot already, and he's this
Right.
big bag of fat that gets hit pretty much all the time. Like you poke out
Yeah.
with Roadhog and you get 16 bullets in you that you know you have to
Yeah.
heal.
So even with that and the 45% like increased time for Roadhog, I still feel like he's going to get his ultimate even faster than he did before.
Yeah, Roadhog is gonna be shooting that crazy gun a lot, so get ready to
He's going to
get
go
pulled
whole
out.
hog a whole lot more
Yeah, he's
often.
gonna
You're
go
going to see
full
a
hog
lot
a
of
lot.
bacon.
We're gonna need Anna to put him to sleep often.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Anna's disruption and Discord orbs are the things that are going to start flying more to help this change as well.
Hmm.
So let's let Anders talk about his boy McCree and what's going on with him.
Oh, I am super, super excited about McCree. Basically, the main change that they're doing to McCree is that his damage fall off is gonna be increased. It starts falling off at 35 meters, pretty much putting him on par with Soldier 76. And I believe his damage is getting increased a tad bit on his primary fire. Or is it just staying the same with no damage fall off?
It's staying the same. It's just the damage fall off used to start before 35 meters. I think it was like 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I
like
believe you're
now the
right.
damage fall off doesn't even start until 35 meters estimated.
It's quite crazy because
So
you can get some nasty
and
headshots
pop
from
Ferris
really
in 3
far away.
shots.
Yeah, oh, finally, yes. Or especially tracers
So
when they were far away, it was just so hard. Or a Fair Eye, if they had a pocket Mercy behind her, you would get
yeah.
1 or 2 shots, and if you couldn't finish her off, then the Mercy would top her off immediately.
Right. Like if anything changes from okay, so like we know how bad Zen was before these changes. We're going to talk about how good Zen is going to be moving forward. But let's say the entire patch buffed all the heroes and this change for McCree wasn't here. McCree would have been basically trash tier. He was never going to be picked. He's hardly going to be played unless it's like niche situations where you need to deal with like a Tracer or a Genji or something. But like this change makes McCree like a real threat, like unbelievably scary to go against.
He's also the type of hero that I feel like at the lower tier, Soldier 76 will still be superior, but as your hit scan accuracy starts getting better and better, he's gonna get picked
The
definitely
pick rate will
over
get increased
76.
as the level of skill increases.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure Cloud9's Surfer is really happy right now with this change because he
Oh
is
yeah,
insane with McCree.
he's so good with McCree. Now, Soldier 76 got a very minor tweak besides that ultimate charge change. Basically, what people were reporting is that when you fire with Soldier and you hold down the gun to like continue the clip, and then you stop firing and you just like fire again right after, it moves the hit scan crosshairs in so that the spread or the spray of your gun is instantaneously like zeroed into the middle. But now it's like a more gradual, like small. It's still pretty fast, but it's a more gradual, like the spray has to slow down before like you can resume firing again.
Yeah, basically how it used to work, if you were playing him super, super efficiently, you could do up to 4 shots with no spread, meaning that they would hit exactly where your crosshair is. And then if you let go of your mouse button and then click it again, basically it would just reset your spread and you could fire another 4 bullets right away. And if you got the timing right, you could basically do this in a fashion that seemed like you were never stopping, and then every shot would be on target, basically with no spread.
It almost looked like fully automatic if you were doing it right.
Exactly. So this change, I think, gets rid of that slightly. I don't think it like completely gets rid of it,
it's
but
still needed to do that.
But it's now you're gonna get probably a tiny bit of spread no matter what.
Yeah. Which is great. I think that this is a much needed change, especially given that he's so muscles out McCree. Even with this change, he's still on the newbie levels. He's still going to be less of a threat than
I think it's a minor
threat.
change, especially if you have good accuracy with him. You're still gonna have it. It's gonna feel a little different, especially if you play him a lot. But some minor kind of bring in line change, yeah.
All right. Why don't you cover Diva and then I'll cover Mercy and Zen.
Sounds good. For Diva, we have some awesome changes. The first one is that her defense matrix no longer is on her E. Now it's on her left click, and it has
Right click.
her right click, sorry. And now it
There you go.
has a cooldown bar. Basically, when you activate it, this cooldown starts lowering, and if you let go, the cooldown starts building up again. So you can activate it on call basically. I think it only has a 1 second cooldown after you let go of it, so you can basically use it whenever you want as long as you have the charge available at the time. This is super, super big, I think, for Diva, because one of the main problems was that if you didn't activate your defense matrix at the right time, then you were super, super vulnerable for a very, very long time. And with your really big hitbox, it was just too much of a liability. You were just not very useful. This allows you to basically get out there in the fray, activate it as you move to your target, then fight. Then if they close out distance on you, you can reactivate it if they maybe are shooting too much fire at you until you find cover, or you can use your boosters to fly away again. And definitely having it available all the time, especially if you are good with the timing and kind of like figuring out when key situations are, you're gonna be able to eat up so many ultimates or save so many allies if you're like paying attention to what you're doing, just because it's always up.
Yeah, and effectively, it's kind of like the hero Farah, like when you're using the hover fuel. It's the same thing. They just call it energy. So it's like your mech has got some energy that they can use into the defense matrix, and you can turn it on and off by holding down your alternate fire. So with a 1 second cooldown, of course, you can turn it back on. But like the best thing that I saw with this change is that they even have a new option for Diva. You can set this for a toggle, so you can turn it on and off with toggling it instead of holding it. And then there's a really cool change for her self-destruct. I think this is my favorite change for Diva.
Yeah, self-destruct costs 15% less, so you're gonna be able to build it up a lot faster, which sometimes is a problem with Diva since you would die so fast. You were not able to build up your ultimate before you had to recall for another mech. And then the explosion timer has been reduced from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Basically, it explodes sooner, and it doesn't hurt Diva anymore. You don't get killed
so
by your
awesome.
own explosion. That means that you can throw in your mech and run it with him, or run with it
Shoot it up.
and keep shooting at people and kind of like take over a payload, a point, or you know, King of the
This
Hill.
pushing power is so gross. Like, think about Ana damage boosting you into doing something like this. That explosion hits so fast, and it hits even harder, and then your pilot damage can just like zone people out.
I don't know if you need a boost with that explosion. It already does like 13,000 damage. I don't know. So it already kills everyone. But really cool changes for Diva. I think she's gonna really see a lot more play with these changes, especially from skilled players that can hold the defense matrix charge on demand and use it at the right times. You're gonna be able, especially in King of the Hill, I feel like she's gonna be really strong, just like a super annoying harasser that can get rid of a lot of your ultimates and rockets and everything.
And then we have a Mercy rework. This is not bad, guys. This is pretty darn good. I believe that this is a buff, as do most of the good players in the community. Basically, Mercy has 3 changes. One of them has to do with the damage boost, and the other 2 have to do with their ultimate. The damage boost now is 50% damage buff instead of 30% damage buff. And it does not stack with another Mercy. So again, this is one change that cues you into them balancing Mercy around competitive play so that the hero stacking is not an option, and then kind of throwing a bone to those in the quick play that they're like, hey, nah, you still can't stack Mercy damage to just go crazy. But you can damage boost and also have a Zen on your team, which gives you insane damage for targets that are afflicted by the Orb of Discord. Then her ultimate. Oh my gosh, you guys, so good. Okay, so there's actually 3 things. I missed out on this. She can res while moving, which means while you're flying in to resurrect your teammates from your little, I don't know, your hidey hole, as people like to say. You like go in your little hidey hole, and then you pop out and you res 4, and you like stand up and you say heroes never bleh, and you bite the dust, and then you res 4 people and you're like, all right, you're on your own. You actually can like run in and res people, and then the byproduct of that is there's no like animation that freezes and roots your feet in place. You can continue moving. And you can also, your guardian angel, the ability that lets you fly around like crazy winged angel, lets you get that ability reset as soon as you use your ultimate. So you can like fly in, resurrect some people, spin around, and fly to your Farah and get to safety and not die, which is amazing. So the balance change with making her mobility even better so that she can res and not die, it then makes her ultimate charge 30% slower, which is totally fine with me. Like sometimes you just like want a Roadhog to eat like a couple shots for like 5-10 seconds, and then you can get your ultimate. So I feel like you really don't want to have Mercy's ultimate all the way up all the time, because it's just so annoying to deal with. I feel like you need to make the Mercies work a little bit harder.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think I heard that the damage boost, the 50% increase, might get toned down back to the original 30 or somewhere in between that, because it is pretty insane, especially like if you're damage boosting McCree, you can headshot somebody from super far away.
It's so stupid. 50% seems really oppressive to me too. Like
it's really high, and that is why it's in the PTR still. They're testing all these things, but basically it's like you said, they're making some changes so to accommodate the hero limits basically right now. Now that they have accepted that they're gonna do hero limits, they have a lot more freedom to buff individual characters. But I think this is still kind of on the works, because I think that is really powerful. I think
let me interrupt, Andres. We have Rice Crispy in the chat, one of our proud patrons and amazing admin on our Discord server. Shout out to him. He is providing a link to Reddit that we will put in the show notes. But basically, Kaplan said they're reverting it back. So that is without a shadow of a doubt, it'll go back to 30%.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense. So glad we got that info right as we're doing the show. No 50%
also
increase,
good,
guys.
Is on PTR.
Yes.
it's on PTR, so that's the reasoning, guys. Like, I don't understand why people get so salty about these changes on PTR, because this is not live.
Yeah, this is not live. They're still testing everything. So so far this is what they got. So back to 30%. Guardian Angel changes are still live, or still live in the PTR, like we mentioned, which I think those are quite helpful, because it feels really bad that every time you guard an angel, you basically are on a suicide mission, and like as Mercy you kind of have to accept that. I think this is a much more cooler for players to know that they can actually go in, rest, and have a chance of getting out. And probably like the getting out part is gonna be the most exhilarating part, right? Because you kind of have to like go in and hopefully have a getaway plan, hopefully have a Pharah that can fly up really fast and you can go to her, or fly back to the player in the back line.
Don't shoot me!
Or you might have to tell your Symmetra, like, dude, stay right here in this corner, I'm gonna go jump in and come back to you.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
So I like that change. Thankfully they reverted damage boost. That seemed like a little much, but I guess they wanted to try it out and just see how it was.
Yeah, let's bump through these last little bits here so we can finish off the show. So Zenyatta is gone from the little Omnic that probably couldn't to the Omnic that wrecks your face.
Yes.
Like, okay, I'm going to blast through these because every one of these you're going to be like jaw-dropping if you haven't heard this before. Zenyatta gets 50 HP more shield. So he goes up to total of 200 HP. 150 of that is shield, which means it can recharge. Projectile speed goes to 120. This is like means nothing to you until you realize that it was 30. They're effectively quadrupling the amount of speed that those orbs are flying at your faces. Your ultimate now does 300 healing per second. That used to be 200. And then when you're ulting or going into Transcendence, Zen's speed increase gets a speed increase of going double his normal speed. This is like, I have no idea. Like, basically just give him a little injection of cheetah juice and like, let's go, Buddha, brother, and like just blitzes in there and heals the snot out of you. And then They also said something really funny, which I had this really great agreement with Shockmaster, who mains. He's got like over 6. He's one of our admins in Discord. He has like 60 hours on Zen. And anytime you do Transcendence, like for some reason, if you can pull off 2 Transcendences during a game, you like automatically get a card of the game at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is this balanced? Like, you didn't do anything. I did like 10k healing this game, and then you did like 2 Transcendences for like 2,000. Like, how does this correlate?
That is when they need to do the true tuning. They need to tune down that play of the game from Zenyatta's ultimate. That is way too overpowered.
Yeah. So instead, they've actually gone with the cards after the game. They've decreased the frequency in which Zen will be able to get those cards.
Good. Yeah, good.
So yeah, pretty cool. But Andres, what are your impressions of this? The flying Omnic.
It's changes that Zenyatta really needed. I don't know if they're like going way overboard with it, like if they're like over tuning it now and seeing how it goes, and then maybe they'll like under tune it afterwards, or just see if like this is really what he needed. Fantastic changes. I think that the most important one is the speed that has been added to the ultimate and the health. Being able to be at 200 health basically takes it out of range of a lot of things, and for a person or for a hero that cannot
especially when it can be recharged.
Yeah, for a hero that has no getaway mechanics, this is like really needed, you know what I mean? Not being able to get one shot by a lot of things. And with some of the changes that are coming up, like McCree having no damage fall off, and they were testing like the mercy damage boost, I think that the extra 50 health was definitely needed. Aside from this, I love the speed that they gave to the ultimate, because as Zenyatta, you're
so cool.
Yeah, as a Zenyatta, you're a backline hero that basically your playstyle has to be very conservative. You're not meant to be in the front line, but then come your ultimate, it's kind of like you have to flip switches, right? Now you have to be on the front line in the middle of everything so you can actually use the most out of your ultimate. So this change basically allows you to do that, because you were so slow that basically you didn't have time to react fast enough and get to where you were needed to pop your ultimate. This way, whenever there's an emergency, you can pop that heal and sprint at the speed of light to where you're needed and heal everyone.
It's no joke, guys. Like, that speed increase, doubling somebody's effective walking speed is bonkers.
Have you played with him, or have you seen how he moves?
I watched it happen, and like it is just insane. And I also saw an Ana damage boosting a Zen that was using, or Ana ulted a Zen that was then throwing Discord orbs and headshotting stuff, and with Seagull, and I was like, what is this black magic? This is insane. He like got a triple kill.
Yeah,
like,
he became really powerful. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of him, especially paired up with a Mercy or sometimes with an
I gotta try Zen. Like, I played him a little bit and actually really liked it. And I think one of the things that I didn't like the most about Zen was actually the missile speed or the projectile speed of his orbs. I felt like they were just slightly too slow. And quadrupling their speed to being really close to a hit scan is going to really help my aim out a lot.
For sure. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do with Zenyatta is charge up your right click and then let go out of all of your orbs. But what I would always try to do would be like let him go, and as they're traveling through the air, I would like to put my Discord orb so that as they're hitting, they hit with a Discord orb on.
The Discord. Yeah.
Because that way you can hide around the corner and then kind of like come out and do the little combo on somebody and finish them off real quick. But with the speed of the orbs, that was impossible to do, because your orbs would hit or go past them way before your Discord orb even like got to your target. So I think now with this change, you might actually be able to pull that off, which makes me really excited.
Yep, and then a few miscellaneous changes. I'll just list these off for you. The mouse sensitivity is able to be fine-tuned, even more precise. They used to have like a single, like 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 100. Now they go down to 2 decimal places, so you can get even closer if you're switching from Team Fortress or CSGO or whatever game that you're used to sensitivity. You can get it closer and closer. The slider options that now have values on them, you can actually click the number and just type in the value of the number instead of using just the sliders. And that, I think, is a really big quality of life. There's also things that you can turn on and off with a toggle ability. You can turn off tips. You can turn off friend requests. You can turn off notifications, and you can even turn off whispers now.
Oh,
So
thank
if you're doing
you.
some recording, it's really helpful.
That is so useful, especially because I've always wanted to record my play of the games, but you always have like that one friend that whispers you while you're like recording the play of the game, and he's like, "Hey man, you wanna group up?" or like asks you like some questions, like, "Oh great, I do want to answer,
Yeah.
but now that is recorded into my play of the game."
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last few options are there's a new aspect ratio option for ultra widescreen monitors. I know a lot of people that got those new sweet LG monitors that are like curved and like wicked widescreen. They now have the 21:9 option for you 1%ers out there. And then the display system clock can now be turned on. If you guys haven't heard of this, you should look up Overwatch clock like forum post. And you can read this really hilarious post that Jeff Kaplan talked to some really irresponsible person about whining that there was no in-game clock and he was waking up way too late and staying up too late because there was no
actually
clock.
love this change because I love the games that actually like give you the actual time that there is while you're playing them, because I'm the sort of person that can get really immersed into some of these games and time just kind of flies by. And so it's just good to have like an anchor that you can
Don't break my immersion, bro.
Yeah, well, no, on the other hand, it's just good to it's kind of like, you know, in Inception when you go into your dreams and then you have that little tool that kind of like helps you know if you're dreaming or if you're like
totem.
In reality. Yeah, your little totem. I feel like that's kind of like the clock, because you're playing and you're so into it, and then you look at your clock and you're like, "Oh my God, I have responsibilities."
Reality is it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and you're still playing this fun game.
So I'm glad that they introduced it in it. It's gonna be helpful for me, I can assure you that.
Yep. And then there's so many bug fixes. I didn't want to put them in our show because I feel like you just get lost in the draw. So please go check those out. We'll put in the show notes for you. Honors, why don't you take a moment to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/OmnicLab.
For sure. We want to thank our usual patrons, Brian K, Eric S, and Blackbird. Thanks again for all the pledges that you guys have done, as well as all the patrons that are signed up to us right now. We finally got paid our first month of Patreon, and it's been super awesome. We were able to cover all of the costs for the website and all of the initial investment that we did into the podcast. And from here on out, hopefully we can start doing a ton of audio upgrades, maybe get some new mic for me and some other stuff that we've been working on to make our live sound actually really, really good, because of right now we're working with, you know, some okay equipment. We also want to thank our new patrons. We want to thank Kenny D, which is my co-host from Coin Concede. Thanks so much for supporting us, man. Really appreciate that.
Yay, Kenny!
Yay! We also want to thank Louis G and Mikael Q, aka Mike.
Yeah, he had his name in there really weird, but he wants to be called Mike. So whatever
Mike
you did with your Patreon, that's your prerogative,
we'll
bro.
We'll call you however you want us to call you. No problem.
So those are our new patrons this week, as well as our scientist level patrons at the top level. You guys will be getting your perks even sooner. Hopefully sooner rather than later with the trip to Japan. Once things finally get ironed out and I get into a rhythm, then we'll start scheduling you guys on the show. Even if you can't commit to it multiple months, we promise that the $50 level that we'll get you on, if that's your desire.
Yes, and then we should probably do a little disclaimer, since you're leaving for Japan. There might be a week or two where there might be some adjustments going on, so the podcast might be posted a little later or at a different time. There might be even a week where we might have to skip the podcast just until Rob gets situated over there and we can resolve all the scheduling stuff. I know it's gonna be a really big move, and at least the first few weeks you're gonna be really busy getting yourself together up over there, getting your house, getting situated, all that stuff. So look ahead for that. We might be on some adjustment period, but we'll definitely still be here going strong.
We can get you more details next week, hopefully, but the 22nd is my last day in Indiana until I have to go spend the week with my in-laws. There is a decent chance that I could post the show on that next Friday if we record on that Thursday night and Andres can edit it in the morning, I might be able to post it before I leave or something like that. But we'll give you some more details for that. We will definitely be back next week. But I fly out July 29th. I will be in a hotel before I fly out the 30th, and then I will be in meetings all day and flying to my prefecture the next couple days. So I won't even be able to reasonably even think about the podcast until August 4th, which is the next time that we would be able to record, possibly. And then there's a 13-hour time change from Andres' time zone. So we will figure it out. What we will try to do is one of those 2 weeks, if not both of the weeks, Andres will either cancel the show or have a guest on to fill my shoes. We have good friend of ours, Deathblow from High Noon Podcast, and the Blevins have been really gracious to offer themselves to come on the show and hang out with us. Andres could just do a solo Pokestop podcast for you. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we're thinking through that, and we're always adjusting. So if you have any suggestions as to what maybe we can do, or you want to reach out to somebody in the community that you know of that is in the pro scene, or somebody that has been in the podcasting scene that maybe we can get a hold of, that would be great. And then I can just post the show on their behalf. We have one really great email that asked us about our opinions, and we really want to thank him. Right now, I believe he was asking about the competitive opinions for when the issues with levers. So we decided we were already going to discuss that. So I messaged him back today, and we got a really great message from Mike. I'll read this on the show because we don't have any emails. It says, hey, Omnic Labbers, I signed up for the lab security job position and as a thank you for the great work that you guys do. The reason I chose this over other Overwatch podcasts was that you guys take the time and effort to get into the weeds because, frankly, my 12-hour-a-day job, I rarely find the chance to do research myself, and it's great to catch up on the latest news while I commute. Things like breaking down the patch notes, like we did today, going into the exact math on certain abilities, and unusual tips like last week's double Lucio and Symmetra spawn point trick are some things that I look forward to most and what I think sets you guys apart. While your competition does a great job about talking about esports or their personal commentary and opinions on the game, it's your focus on helping me play better that won over my support, and we're looking forward to your next show. Thank you so much for those kind words. It means a lot to have you on board with the show. I really wanted to bring that up just because I really appreciate it. And I don't know, Andres, what are your comments on that? Like, just feels great to have people behind us.
Yeah, it feels super awesome. We love when people let us know what they think about the show, especially if it's this sort of thing, because honestly, this is exactly what we're trying to do with this show. We are two people that love dissecting the game, and at least for me, I'm a very curious person, and I love learning the game up and down, and then I love sharing that knowledge with other people. So it's the type of show that I would like listening to, right? A show where here and there I can enrich my gaming experience and make myself a better player. So I'm really glad that this is what people are getting out of the show. And if you are, it's awesome. Let us know if you'd like to learn about different things or you'd like to see things get added to the show. Always feedback is appreciated. Emails like this let us know that we're doing a good job and that we're going the right direction. So it really encourages us to keep going. So thanks a lot, Mike. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we especially appreciate the positive feedback. We don't really just do it to toot our own horn. We're literally just giving you guys in the community that aren't writing back to us what those people that are being vocal are. They usually say, 10% of the people make 100% of the noise. So we love hearing your feedback to keep us on track. We're kind of doing the same thing that we've started doing with the show because that's what we got the most positive feedback. So if there are any changes you guys want to hear, we're all ears, guys. Like, this isn't our first rodeo podcasting by any means, but it is kind of our first rodeo inside of the realm of Overwatch, as it is with most people. So we want to make sure we do what you guys are listening to within our focus of the show of strategy. So also we want to thank some of you guys that took your time out of your busy weeks to give us an iTunes review. So thank you to Captain Terps and Tyrannosaurus Arex from the United States for your iTunes reviews. And we also got a great iTunes review from someone in Canada named TV's Tony Danza. He says, informative and fun. Great work, guys. Your banter's fun, and you give me useful info and tips on every show. I'm totally enjoying it and a dedicated listener. I'm predominantly playing in competitive mode now, and you've been very helpful with that. Cheers from We Muse Aloud podcast. So you got your little plug for your podcast, guys. Go check them out. Thanks for your 5-star iTunes reviews. We really appreciate you guys, and it helps us know what's going on with your opinions on our show and how we can improve. We have 2 helpful links of the week. We have Anna's comic called Legacy, and we also have a really big change in the PTR currently, which is the hitbox changes and what they look like visually in this video. It's something that I really like to talk about on the show. I would have liked to talk about a little bit more on the show, but without the visual representation, it's really hard. All I can tell you is that go watch this video. The adjusted hitboxes will make Hanzo players or people that hate Hanzo players a little bit better on the inside because they can't hit you from behind walls, and hopefully those filthy roadhogs won't be able to hook you behind a wall anymore. So we'll see. Andres, why don't you close out the show by letting people know where they can find the show at?
Sounds good. You can find the show on Twitter at Omnic Lab. You can also find us on Facebook under the same name. We have a Discord channel that is super active. We have some awesome members that are always there posting about stuff, new tips, new tricks, and they're always grouping up. So if you're looking for some friends to play Overwatch, that is definitely a place to be. It's also super easy to get in contact with us, like right then and there. Sometimes we're on, or we're always checking it all the time. So if you want to get in contact with us, it's a great place, as well as Twitter. If you want to be a little more personal, you can email us at omniclabpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also always find us on iTunes if you love catching us on the go. We're also on Google Play Music, all those parts. If you want to go the extra mile and support the show, we are on Patreon at Omnic Lab. You can go there and support the show with a little money to help us grow in our audio department, and then hopefully get some more goodies out there for you guys in the upcoming year. And then we also, of course, have a YouTube channel if you want to catch our silly faces and you couldn't do it on the live stream, which is on Twitch at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, Twitch TV/Omnic Lab.
For the next few times.
Yeah, for the next few weeks before that changes. You guys might have to start waking up early to catch the show.
Either that or staying up late.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We also have our own website. If you want to catch all of our show notes, everything is super nicely laid out over there. Rob does a ton of work in the website every week to keep it super updated and ready for you guys to visit. All of our content is very centralized over there, so if you guys want to catch everything that we do, that is the place. And then also check out our sweet merch. Go to spreadshirt.com/OmnicLab and you can find some awesome shirts that we have created with our logo. If you guys want to actually sport the Omnic Lab brand out where you go, help us spread the word, and then also have an awesome logo in your shirt. Aside from that,
if you can't find our shirts, it's on the website either way.
Yes, you can also find our website. Everything we do, you can find in our website, so keep that in mind. Also, personally, you can find me on Twitter at iPlayGames. You can also find me streaming on this same channel on twitchtv.com/ or twitchtv/OmnicLab. There you go. Streaming some competitive games now that I'm back in the game. Hopefully, I can start streaming again. And then you can also catch me talking about Hearthstone on my other podcast, Coin Concede. We usually go live on Tuesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Absolutely. You guys have stuck with us long and hard, and you can find me over at Twitter at twitter.com/notrob. You can find me on a Facebook online portfolio of me taking pictures, hopefully even updating myself with some nice photography on Not Rob Media. Potentially even when I go to Japan, you might see some Japanese related photos, which would be cool. You can see me pretty much never streaming over at twitch.tv/notrobmay. And you can listen to my Hearthstone podcast tomorrow. On Friday, we do some more budget talk called Velen's Chosen. We're over at velenschosen.com and all the podcasting apps that you would love to listen to. That is one jam-packed show. We promise, Lucio, we're going to go jam with you next week if everything goes smoothly and we have smooth skating. No puns intended. Totally puns intended. And don't forget to join Team Mystic to trounce all over Andres.
Ignore the
in
last
Pokemon
part that
Go.
Rob just said, but listen to everything else he said. Aside from that, we have some listeners asking when the Pokemon podcast is gonna come out. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Dude, I don't think I could do another
Yeah,
podcast.
so
These
I'm
two are
so
so
packed. I am
consuming.
so packed. I might do like one episode, give out all my tips on it, and then be like, okay, that is it.
We might be able to put something out on YouTube, but yeah, it would only be team stuff. So we'll see.
Oh,
All
I
right.
think Deathblow is Team Valor. Everyone is on a different team. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, they're just wrong. So if they're on Team Valor, Andres and I will agree. Team Valor belongs in the ashes where they started. So remember, guys, don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. We'll see y'all next week. Adios, Omnics.
Take care.
Nothing more to teach you. The rest you must learn for yourself. Walk in harmony, my student.
There's a right horn in my house. I am out of here.